we'll get started. Thank you so much for joining us, Rhianna. We're so keen to hear your story, your journey, and get to know you better. And so our audience gets to know you better. I guess the first question that we want to ask you is,
what makes you jump out of bed and be like, this is what I want to do?
It's a great question. I've changed careers a little bit and paths a little bit, and I think the biggest thing that I've found through it all is you just have to love what you do. You're not going to want to get out of bed and do something for 12 hours a day or however long if you don't enjoy what you do. For me, I found the times where I enjoyed myself the most was when I was surrounded by people that I really enjoyed working with. And then also with engineering, the thing I love about it is I got to physically be a part of something that I could see tangibly visibly change before my eyes, and that was really cool. So for me, that's what kept me going, because as much as I like to say I'm a morning person, I really am not.
I'm so glad to
You
be
and
I'm
me
not
both.
the only one.
I think I'm getting worse with age.
Honestly, I think I just call it like I'm becoming more true to my authentic self. The facade is coming
Exactly.
off.
Authenticity, I love that. Natural for me.
I find it's just that I think better in the evening, to be honest.
Yeah, I definitely go through the waves of the day where I find I have really pockets of productivity. And I don't really know when they're going to hit. It could be in the morning sometimes, it could be in the afternoon sometimes. But yeah, I've every job I've had to wake up really early in the morning. So I always thought I was just a morning person, because I see other people who struggle a lot more with just waking up. My husband's a really good example. He will wake up and it'll take him 3 hours before his brain starts working. But I feel like I can wake up and then I'm just with it.
I feel like he's sitting outside being like, why am I getting abused like this?
Yeah.
But that's really interesting that you talk about, like, knowing your pockets of productivity, because it was something, I guess, in the first year people started asking me if I knew that. And I was like, it's so, like, I've just started working. So how long did it take you to kind of figure out what works for you?
I think it really depends on your routine of the day. So for example, you said that you have the 4 to 8 o'clock, you're already super productive in that time. And then you get into your work and then whatever you do post work. So I think routine really matters, because then you can actually get a good gauge for when you're most productive in the day. But if your day, every single day is different, you're never going to be able to, I guess, have a baseline and then figure out when those pockets happen. For me, I think at least a good few years in, it was, going from university into the professional world is a huge shock to the system. So I feel like you already just need a good 12 months before you really figure out your rhythm. And then, yeah, I would say maybe a couple years in, you're pretty settled and know what works.
That's good advice, for people listening.
Absolutely. Now, I know this is sort of like a disorganized question, but because I'm like asking it after all of this. But I really want you to sort of like tell us about yourself and a little bit about your background. Like, we know that you're in the United States. For those who are listening, we're speaking about being productive in the morning, and essentially we had to get up a little bit early on a Saturday because she's all the way there on a Friday. So making it work. But yeah, tell us about you and how you ended up there, sort of thing.
Yeah. Gosh, I moved to Australia when I was about 15. I'm originally from Dubai. And I remember I never really knew what engineering was, in a sense, but I knew I wanted to be an engineer, if that made sense. I remember being in Dubai and seeing how much construction was happening. It was really at the time where it was visibly changing to the kind of Dubai that everyone knows now. And I kind of, driving through, I was like, I want to be a part of something like that. I want to be able to, look back and be like, wow, I built that, or I was, part of a team that built that. And so for engineering for me, and then I think you guys can probably relate, but when I went through school, I was good in maths. And so my teachers were like, oh, great, you should be an engineer. I was like, fantastic. Whatever that means, I'll do it, sure. And it was kind of, I mean, it was really that simple for me. I went into university, studied civil engineering, and I still didn't quite know what that meant and what that looked like for my future. I think everyone has this idea that a civil engineer generally just designs things or builds bridges.
Yes.
There's so much more to it. It's so it's so diversified. And then when I graduated, like a lot of people at the time, it was just, trying to be scrappy and get any job you could get at the time. But I managed to land a really awesome job in a civil construction company, and I absolutely loved it. I was, on site every single day, learning so much in this fast-paced environment, and I just learned so much. It was really a sink or swim situation, and I loved it. And then from there, I kind of just worked my way up. I found I really enjoyed project management. I love just juggling lots of balls in the air. It was just what I enjoyed. It was the more pressure, the better for me and my personality. And yeah, so I kind of stuck with that. Eventually, I, really did a bit of introspection and was like, do I want to keep doing this? Do I want to, try and find something else that I love? Or explore something that I love in a different setting. And so it led me to taking on an opportunity in the mining industry in central Queensland. And so I did FIFO for a couple of years, which was very different and a huge wake-up call for me. And this is where I talk about being a morning person. You would not be able to survive if you were not a morning person doing FIFO and the early mornings and the big days. But yeah, that was really for me the best thing I ever did in my career was really changing. I think a lot of people are so scared to change because it's so easy to stick to what you know. But sometimes just taking that leap of faith is the best thing you can do. And yeah, like you mentioned, I am currently in Austin, Texas, here for some work opportunities supporting my husband. And I've taken a bit of another career pivot. I now work for one of the big four in a consulting role, but I also have my own business on the side. I think mentorship is so important, has been the key to my career and journey. And it's funny, the relationships you make when you least expect it and how they'll end up in the future. And my business partner now is a mentor that I had, and someone that I really respected and looked up to and learned a lot, or probably the most that I learned from. And yeah, so
Wow.
that's me, and this is how
That's
I'm here.
amazing. I love that. I love that you could fit all of it in just like a few minutes. I love it. I love it. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm like asking different questions.
It's like a crash course in the last
You can
few
tell
years.
I've done this before.
I'm like, wow, that's very articulate. I'm learning so much from you already.
I think leap of faith sums up the whole journey so well.
Well, and your relationship with change, that's something that I feel like we are all learning how to deal with, not just in our professional life, but in like our personal life. So I'm really happy that you mentioned that, because nothing is still, like everything's constantly changing, and we have to work on that acceptance.
It's such a good point though, like the relationship would change. Where do you think you got so comfortable with that? Like, what do you think, going back, if you were to look at growing up or something, like what made you so comfortable with pivoting?
I think it was the uncomfortability of it. I like a challenge and I like new opportunities, but I think if it's comfortable, you're not going to do it. So for me, it was funny because I describe it like ripping the Band-Aid off. I was never the person who would just do the uncomfortable things, but when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, I just have to do it, and like, don't give me a minute to think about it or I won't do it. So I just had to rip the Band-Aid and just do it. So
Right.
so that kind of fancy, it's like the uncomfortability that
Yeah.
And was that like a moment in your professional career, or was it like something in your personal life? Like, was that turning point when you were like, okay, I have to just rip the Band-Aid off? Was it like related to work or?
Yeah. For me, it was all changed when I was with a company for a very long time, and for me, for the longest time, that was all I knew. It was all I ever wanted. I had my eye on the prize, and I was like, I'm just gonna get there. And this opportunity came up from a friend, and I was like, shit, I think I have to do it. But then I was like, but don't give me, I'm gonna just accept it now, because if I sit on it, think about it, I will find a reason to back out. And it was the best thing I ever did. And now I just, anything that presents itself, I'm like, yep, I'm in. Because now I can look back. It's like when you always are really tired to go to gym and you're like, I really don't want to do it, I'm so lazy. But then you have to remind yourself how good you feel after you actually do it. That's kind of what I now think about in every situation and how I make my decisions. I'm like, it feels really uncomfortable in the moment, but I'm like, I know I will feel so good afterwards.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
incredible. But jumping into so many different things, I think a lot of the times we hear, people being like, oh, I feel like I need to be ready for it before I do it. But it seems like you're
Mhm.
very happy and very comfortable with the idea of learning on the job and getting better as you do it. How would you advise people, I guess, to not worry about the competencies they have before and gaining the competencies after?
Yeah, I think that took me a very long time. And to be honest, it's something I'm still learning and still figuring out. Um, it was one of the reasons I never changed and why I kind of stayed on the same path for so long. Um, yeah, that's a really hard one to answer. I think it's a very uh personal realization and personal journey.
Mm, yeah, I'm curious to I was just thinking now that you were talking about your journey and you were telling us how the more pressure the better. I think I remember that coming from Yuma from Yuma, sorry. So I was just thinking, why is that? Why do you feel like you need all this pressure to sort of like thrive? Or why do you feel like you can handle it and be like, I got this? Is there anything in like growing up or in your I guess childhood, something that sort of like I'm looking for a word and it's completely gone. Condition. It's something in your conditioning that sort of like make you feel this way or
I don't know. I think as a child, I was always very competitive, and going into everything I did, I was really competitive. So I feel like maybe that has something to do with it. It's like the bigger the challenge, the better for me. Um, but I don't know. I just feel like it's funny because I talk about pressure, but I actually mean it in a different sense too. I don't work well under pressure in the sense of like if there was, someone dying in front of me, I'm running the opposite direction. Like I would not having, but it's really weird that when it comes to work, and I do really well when there's crisis at work in a solving problems really quickly. For me, I really enjoyed that. I think I don't know. That's a really good question. I'm gonna have to think about what kind of childhood memories I
triggers.
have or what my
No,
parents have done to like
Yeah, the trauma.
no.
yeah,
You
bringing
have
up
to
all
say the
the
trauma
trauma.
word. Oh my goodness. I just I'm really happy that you make that distinction between like you if you were to see like someone, for example, like a patient, if you were a doctor, you would probably run the opposite direction. Like I completely get that. But I love the fact that you said that you thrive in these sort of like situations because it takes a level of self-awareness to just be like calm. And that's something that I feel like in leadership is so needed. It's like underrated. Like the capacity of staying just calm and just knowing that not everything A needs a reaction and B that as we were talking about, like it could probably change and for the best or for the worst, but let's just be okay with whatever happens.
With
So
the
it's a
uncomfortableness of it, yeah.
yeah, it's a really good one. So
Yeah. I I remember having this conversation with someone who I looked up to, and I was like, wow, you're killing it. Like, how do you have, and it's kind of my time to the other one as well. And I was like, wow, how do you have so much confidence to do what you do? And there's so much pressure, you're doing so well, blah blah blah. And I remember him saying it was like all about this perception of having a safety net. And I think that might contribute a little bit. I always knew that no matter what I did, I had a really good support network and safety net to fall back on. So even if I made mistakes or even if I messed something up, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. So I had the opportunity, I guess, to do what go with your gut instincts, do what I thought was right, and then if I messed up, it's okay. Like you're not gonna get fired for every little mistake you make. You're allowed to make mistakes in a professional setting because that's how you learn. So yeah, I I think maybe that helped.
I
oh,
guess diving
absolutely.
into that, what does a safety net look like for you? Is it like a network of people that will support you, or is it more in just, yeah, just knowing job security or
Or
like a
just yourself, like having
true?
yourself there.
Hmm. I think it's a little bit of a combination of everything. I think you have to get to a point where you have to get over the hurdle of like, oh, if I make this mistake, I'm going to lose my job. I don't think you can function as a human being if you are constantly worried about losing your job. So I think there's an aspect to that. But for me, most importantly, was the support network. I think whether it be, at home, whether it be at work, whether it be an external mentor. But yeah, I think you have to have people at work that support you, support your growth, support your failures and learnings. Otherwise, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's
nothing's
so
worth
key.
it at that point. If you don't have people that's
So
going to
key.
have your back, it's
Yeah.
just.
It is key. I have two questions. Sorry, Sohan. So the first one is, you were saying that you do mentoring, which is amazing, by the way, because I feel like you get a lot out of the mentees and also like from the journey of just providing knowledge to other people. That's a good feeling. I wanted to ask you, how important do you think, like I know that, for example, females in the industry get a lot of mentorship, but then a lot of people say, how about a sponsorship? Because there's so much mentoring that you can do. But what about an ally? Or like what about someone that helps you achieve those things or advocates for you? Do you think you had someone advocating for you currently or throughout your journey that was like, yeah, I got this if this person is by my side, sort of thing?
Yeah, 100%. So my mentor that I had through work, he was actually just a manager of mine, but he was the biggest advocate for me. He saw my potential, he supported me in everything I did, and I just don't think you can succeed without it. I went years without having that, and to the point where I thought this wasn't the path for me until I literally got onto a project and found, and we talked about relationship building and things, and for me that was like a huge changing point in my career as well, to be like, wow, I connect so well with this person and they really think I'm good at what I do and will support me. So I think it's huge. I don't think you necessarily need to go and find an external mentor. Yes, they're super helpful, but I think someone that you work with closely that you can just bounce ideas of, or how you're feeling, is I yeah it's invaluable.
That's so incredible that a you I think we hear about that a lot. A lot of women feel like this isn't for them, and I always wonder if it's a issue with like the way people are treating them from the top down, or like what they can do to change it. If you look at the relationship you were able to create with a mentor and look at the years you had without them, what would you say differentiated them to be able to make that connection with you? Because like I'm sure you would have had other managers and somehow they didn't have the capability to get there. What makes a mentor like that stand out?
Hmm. I think it was the underlying belief and trust. I felt like they could just give something to me and trust that it would get done. And there wasn't, any sense of micromanaging or undermining and things like that. So I think that was the key for me, was just knowing that I had someone that was like, yeah, just do your thing and we'll figure it all out.
That is amazing because it actually, I think trust is it's so important in everything. And we were chatting with some people that we actually interview, and they were like, "Oh, like uh, what we have noticed is that with the new generation of like professionals, they it's really difficult to retain them." And they were sort of
Mhm.
like asking us what our opinion was, and I think that because we are so like we were talking with Sohan and we were sort of like saying, look, there's so many options out there. And if at the workplace we continue to use traditional leadership, I guess, approaches, it's going to be really difficult for us to stay in a place because micromanagement is what
Mhm.
you literally said. Like, it's just that feeling of undermining, or like that someone is undermining you and that someone doesn't trust what you bring to the table. And then it makes you question yourself. And I feel like for
Yeah.
females, that is, it's like, I don't feel safe here, I don't feel valued, and then they tend to leave. So I absolutely agree with you. The keyword there is trust. I'm so happy that you said that because I love it. I love it. So
Yeah, no,
now,
you put it really well.
oh, I was gonna. Okay, I think I had my second question.
Yes.
Yes, the second question was to do with you are now living in the United States, but you're not, and you were living here in Australia. As a migrant in Australia or the United States, have you come across any challenges in your professional career, and how can you pivot those challenges and make them opportunities for yourself?
That's really tough. It's something I actually think about all the time. And usually I'm like, oh yeah, I've gone out of that straight away, but I'm going to have to think about this. Definitely my professional career in Australia was tough. I mean, getting started even in high school. When I look back on at high school, I was like the only colored person in my high school, given it was a small like suburban town, but still. So that was a challenge in itself. And then you would have the same experiences to me where I think I looked up the other day, and our graduating class at university was like 1 in 4 were women. And that was, to be honest, I didn't really find a challenge. I actually thought it was pretty fun. So, but then going into the workplace, I think the fun sort of changed and it became a challenge because there wasn't anyone directly above me that either looked like me or had been through what I had been through as a female, as whatever, you know. So that was really challenging because even if you can find someone that is really supportive of you and supportive of your ambition and career, there's something about having someone that you can talk to about relatable things. There's something about that. I think that's really important because shared experiences are, again, what brings people together, what creates trust. And some people aren't lucky enough to have a good support network without that. So, yeah, those were definitely some challenges. Luckily, I've not experienced anything like that in the US. In fairness, though, like I said, stepped away from engineering a little bit coming here. So I now work in corporate America, which, as you can imagine, not
is a different culture altogether.
Yeah, it's totally different. It's weird.
The culture, I guess, what we're shown or what we perceive America to be, and even just flying through there, I've noticed like if you catch a flight, even in Canada, everyone's like chill or whatever. And then just something about traveling through America, you just notice everyone's still working on their laptops on the plane, at the airport, everyone is just working, working, working. Do you think that it is almost a you have to live to work kind of culture there compared to wherever else you've lived?
Definitely from what I've seen, especially we did a little bit of travel for work and things like that. And it's funny you mentioned that because I through my career have really learned the value of boundaries. And now I'm in a place in my life where I'm like, I'm not. I'm like, it's past.
It.
I am not going to, like, yes, I am of the opinion, like, don't put off till tomorrow what can be done today. But I'm also of the opinion that no one's going to die if something doesn't get done today, and there's always tomorrow. There's no tomorrow, then there's no problem. It's fine. That's a different issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have definitely noticed that. I think there is, I mean, you've got two very different people. You've got the entrepreneurs, which the scene here is huge, and they work because they absolutely love it and they'll work 24/7. But yeah, corporate America, I have noticed very much that people, well, I believe, live to work. And I'm like, laptop shut.
Nice. You mentioned something key, and it's that you have been able to set up those boundaries. Do you have any advice for people that are currently struggling with like setting up boundaries in their professional life?
Or even personal.
Yeah. I think it's really hard. I think it comes with time and experience and the courage to really say, or like not answering a phone call. That for me was massive. If I could see a phone call coming in at 5 a.m. or 6 p.m., I'd be like, oh, do I answer it? So yeah, in terms of advice, I think it's really identifying for yourself, I don't want to say values, but what's important to you. If you want to be a workaholic and just work 24/7, that's fine. Like, but if you want to have work-life balance and not burn out at some point, then you just got to figure that out. And you just have to not take that phone call at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, whatever it is. But it is hard. It's so hard, and it took me such a long time. And to be honest, I'm probably so guilty of like doing it occasionally. Especially with my business now, I'm literally working, you know, you talked about having that time before work. I'm literally doing the 5 to 9, the 9 to 5, and then the 5 to 9. Like, you will burn out at some point, but I love it. So I'm like, that's my choice. But yeah, it is hard.
It's so relatable just because that's, sort of what we have to do with the podcast as well.
Yeah.
And honestly, some days it is difficult, but whenever we have these conversations, it's like, I love this.
Oh yeah, when we meet people
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
can like learn so much from each other, it's so good. It does, even like when editing and like re-listening the episodes, you like, this is why we do this. Like, this is absolutely beautiful. Like listening to people opening up about their stories and how they've gone through things. It's just really
And
rewarding.
it almost keeps you going because, like you said, like, it's about finding people who look like you, shared experiences. And I think a lot of the times we hear, oh, there's like a boys' club or whatever. But honestly, it's just them sharing shared experiences because they're similar. A lot of there's commonalities.
Affinity.
If there's
100%.
an interest in golf or an interest in sports, then you talk about these things. And if you don't
Yeah.
have that, then you can feel a bit like an outsider.
Yeah.
My brain's gone on a little bit of a tangent, but I feel like if I don't ask this, I will just be like, why didn't I ask this?
Please go hard.
But it's like such a big shift. Obviously, now things have worked out really well after moving to America and you're loving it, but you didn't know that before. So making that shift for the sake of your partner, was it something you even had to think about, or like it was just like, we'll do this?
I have to think about this looking back now because he tells a very different version of the story. He tells everyone that it was actually my idea, which I don't agree with, but I am 100% supportive in the sense that he likes to say it in a very supportive way, that I was the one that pushed him to come here for the opportunity. But I don't remember it like that. Or maybe I'd had one too many wines. I don't know. But no, for me, it was a no-brainer. It was like, I see how hard you work. I see how, and that's not to take away from how hard I worked, but I was like, I see the value in what you're doing. And his is such a social, driven, impact driven company that I was like, it's also this hard balance of like, I want you to be able to do good in the world, and not just Australia or not just the UK, like the whole world. And so what is the platform that you need to reach your goals? And I think something that, this is a very generalized statement, I think something that's missing in the world today is this sense of like, when people get together, they kind of like still stay individuals. I think there is an aspect to your life that you at some point have to realize that you have shared values, shared goals. And for me, that's our foundation. It's not you're succeeding or I'm succeeding. It's like, we're succeeding. So for me, it was a no-brainer. It was just like, yeah, you want to move? I'll move. I'll adapt. I literally preach about how resilient I have become from like working in construction. So I have to put my money where my mouth is.
That's so true. Wow.
I actually love that so much because people don't often talk about the fact that you are a unit now, and obviously not being in a relationship, I can't really say that I have the experience of how that would look like if things are changing so much, but it is so much of the missing piece. While you do want to maintain your individuality, you also want to help each other support in whatever capacity. And
yeah,
it's really cool.
100%. And I also look at it from a different side. I know that no matter what I do, he will always support me. It's not even a question. And even with this new business that I wanted to start, this is an opportunity that I probably wouldn't have had if I stayed in Australia and did what I was doing, So again, it's just weird how the world and the stars align when you least expect it.
Yeah, when you take the leap, honestly.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
It's trusting the universe. So when you are trusting, everything happens. But now I'm really curious to know what the business is about. Would you like to share it with us?
Sure. So it's called Virtual Civil Consulting. It's basically a remote consulting business in the engineering space. We are experienced project managers that absolutely love, or let me step one step back. We realized that in project management, as much as I love the pressure, it also gets to a point where you're like, okay, this is hard. So we've trying to carve this niche in the market where we get to share our knowledge and experiences, expertise without the stress of actually delivering projects. So we basically help construction companies around Australia and support them with their tenders. So when you submit a tender, you need staging plans, programs, construction methodologies, and we come in and we just do all that for you. So a lot of times in a lot of projects, you don't have the people, resources, time effort, energy to be able to do that, but you also don't want to sacrifice losing a job or not being able to tender for a job just because, you know, you're on the back foot with that. So yeah, we're just fully remote service for that.
That is amazing because I feel like a lot of the time, as you said, like we're time poor and we don't want to like not bring work because we are working so hard, because when that finishes, we want the other thing to come next. And
Exactly.
it's amazing because I feel like project managers or people from within are able to provide certain insights that people that help put these things together wouldn't actually know. Like there's key language, like when you're like talking with clients or when you're referring to clients. So that is amazing. How did you sort of like come up with this idea? Like how did you um yeah, who is your team, who is helping you, and how did you make this happen?
Yeah. So at the moment it's just the two of us, myself and my business partner, Graham. Shout out to Graham. But yeah, so as I said before, he was my manager and he was my mentor. And it's just, again, the world does funny things, you know. We both
Inspiring.
ended up leaving the organization that we both work for, the company. And a few years later, he moved to Austria, and I happened to be living in the UK. And I was like, I'm coming to see you. It's so close. Let's hang out. And you know, our families like hung out and stuff like that. And it was like, how do we bring back the energy and you know, how well we work together back together? And so we just brainstormed a little bit, and we were like, what are the things we love? What are, you know, where can we really I guess cement ourselves in the industry, knowing that we're both living remote from Australia. And this was kind of the starting point, and it'll grow from here. But this is just the beginning.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome because it sort of like reminds me of Sohan and I for some reason. I'm like, yeah, we used to work together. We have so many things in common, and we've sort of wanted to create like something nice. So here we
What I'm
are.
in awe of, and like you said, this is just the beginning, is the capability, because we're living more and more in an age where obviously there's like tools, AI tools, or just remote working and globalization. You can work from anywhere,
Mm,
where this can change the landscape of project management or engineering consultancies in general.
yeah.
You know, the work. Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
100%. You look at so much of the work, and the, like, if you think back to COVID, I was still doing civil construction. I even did FIFO at that point. Nothing stopped. Nothing literally stopped. Okay, granted, it wasn't as bad in Australia, certain parts, than the rest of the world. However, the whole world still functioned. Like, for the better part, you know, it still kept going. So I think that was really the changing point, and nothing's ever going to go back to the way it was. Everyone learned that there's alternative ways of doing things. Yes, remote. Yes, now AI. Like, who knows where it's going? Um, but yeah,
And you can
it's a
provide your
great space to be in.
consultancy experience or your project management experience literally from anywhere with this,
Yeah,
with what you're doing.
it is awesome.
So sick.
It's awesome. With regards to the transition from the technical and construction space, actually, to consulting, how was that transition for you? And was it like another like of the opportunities where you were like, okay, I'm not even gonna think about this and I'm just gonna do it, kind of thing? Or how did it happen for you?
100%. So this was again, you know, an opportunity that kind of fell in my lap a little bit, which was amazing, and timing
Beautiful.
wise, it lined up perfectly with moving here. But yeah, for me, it was like, I've never done this before. I'm in the economic development space, and I was like, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about the US. I don't know anything about economic development. But I was like, you know what? Fundamentally, knowledge can be learned, and you can be resourceful enough to find the information you need, but you just have to have the foundation of like, okay, I know how to find information, I know how to speak to people, and I can write a report. Like, you know, the foundation's there, and I think you can just do anything as long as you learn a few foundation skills, which everyone just develops in their career and in their professional life. So yeah, for me, it was like, I'm gonna say this. It was just a YOLO. It was
Yeah,
like,
no, good. Good. Love this. It takes courage to YOLO it, you know? It takes
Yeah,
courage.
honestly, it does.
well, it was that, or I didn't have a job. So
See, but even then, it's like even though it's scary because, as you were saying, like it's not just that you're taking, it's a job, and like like you have to go there and not just deal with the demons of like, oh, imposter syndrome, but also just like keep bringing results, or like just working, like make like go smooth. Like it's so scary. So you could have said no. You could have been like, oh, I can still do something else. Like there's
Stick to your
still that
strengths, kinda,
possibility. Yeah, it's
yeah.
still just your strengths. Or you could have just
Yeah.
like provided so many reasons not to do it, but you were like, I'm accepting to change. Let's go. YOLO. So that's
Yeah,
amazing.
absolutely. To be honest, I'm more grateful to them, or like I see them more as the ones that went YOLO when they took a gamble to bring me on, because they were like, what is someone from Australia as an engineer going to bring to our team? So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and you had a keyword, and you were like, the core skills that you had were sort of like things that report writing. And I think I'm gonna give more emphasis to this. You said that you knew how to talk to people, and believe it or not, that is an art on itself. Like if you know how to connect with others, even though to you it looks so natural and like a skill that you have always had, not everyone has that. So then again, it's not just the technical stuff that we bring to the table, and it's so important to know that.
Yeah.
It's almost always the
Yeah, talking to
networks.
people is hard.
Yeah. Asking the right questions, like not feeling like ashamed to bring up certain things, or like, for example, again, like I am a migrant here, and English wasn't my first language, and I was like, even speaking in English was like terrifying. Now I have a podcast, but we've seen your videos on LinkedIn, and you were saying to us that you have like you provide mentorship, and you love all that, but videos, that's so creative. I love that. How did you come up with the idea? Because I guess LinkedIn is so rigid in such a, oh, it used to be, actually. Now everyone is like posting things, but how was that, like brainstorming and being like, this is what I'm gonna do?
Yeah. That was an interesting one, and I'll give away my little secret, but that was a strategic move in terms of I knew I was, coming to a new country. I knew I had to find work. And so I was like, how do I set myself apart from everyone else that's applying for a job? So everyone goes down the cold reach out on LinkedIn, which is, hitting up the hiring managers and things like that. And I just took it a step further. I sought out a coach at the time, a recruitment coach, to help me, because I was going through the same things of like, what do I want to do when I move here? What is my new life going to look like? And so I got myself a coach, which was the first step, and we worked through it. And I was like, you know what? How about I document this and share it with everyone? And yeah, and to be fully honest, I genuinely think that's one of the main reasons I got offered this job, or like I was found and they offered me this job. So yeah, it was, but it's so hard, because again, I was like, okay, I've done podcasts and voice audio only, and I was like, going on camera, and it was just one of those things. Again, it was
Absolutely.
uncomfortable, it was so cringe, and I was like, but I just had to do it. And I committed.
Absolutely. Yeah, you just have to go and just realize that that's going to be out there in the cloud for a
Yeah.
long time, and be
Yeah.
okay with that.
I know it's out there in the world now. It's
Yeah, and you have to just be okay with how you look that day, everything. Because like how fashion evolves, you're like, oh my God, what did I do in a few years?
Oh, 100%. And I did not have this great lighting back then.
Yeah, there's so many things that we become so picky with. Oh my God. But yeah, fun. I did watch one of your videos, and in one of them you were talking about your elevator pitch. And I was like, through this week and like a few weeks ago, I've been working on my elevator pitch. And I think it's important that we talk, what is our elevator pitch? If you don't know, as a listener, we have someone here that is going to tell us and give us tips to come up with one, because it's incredibly important.
Oh gosh. Okay. So your elevator pitch is, if you meet someone in an elevator and you have to sell them yourself or something, you have 30 seconds in that elevator ride, and you need to close the deal by the time your elevator gets to the top or the bottom. And it's about what you put into that 30 seconds. When you're developing an elevator pitch, for example, for a job interview, there was, when I was writing mine up, I was like, it's so hard. It's like, it's also a bit cringe. Like, how am I going to do this, and how am I going to do it authentically? And I came across this, I'm trying to think back now, but I think it said split it up into 3 parts, which is like your past, your present, and your future. And so give a quick, 10 seconds on each. What are the skills you want to highlight from your past? What are the skills you want to highlight from the present? And where do you want to be in the future? And so far, so good.
That is awesome. That is awesome, because I feel like for women, now that we're getting into the women thing. Haha. I don't know why I said that. I come up with the most weird shit. Anyway. This is the beauty of not following a script, man. Your brain attacks you. But yes, as females, we see how important it is to self-promote, and if we have an elevator pitch, or if we work towards having one, it's just like it gives us more confidence that we have already planned the past, present, and future thing, that we can just like talk about our skills, what we can bring, and we can sell ourselves. What do you think, Sohan?
100%. I'm just more like thinking for a listener, if they were to want an example of this, I don't know if we could run through it. Like, say I'm someone in the elevator, and so I was just thinking from a listener's perspective, if they sort of wanted an example, and we could like run through it. Say I'm like, I don't know, a manager in some company that you really wanted to work in. We're in an elevator, you have 30 seconds. What would you say?
Oh, God.
I love this. I love this.
Okay, but I actually got this wrong, and I think you meant to go present, past, and future. But
that's okay.
Yeah, I guess we'll say, hey, my name's Rhianna Di Trapani. I'm currently a consultant for one of the big 4. My job primarily involves stakeholder engagement, operations, strategic thinking, and innovation. Something I'm really proud of is I was actually headhunted for this role all the way from Australia for a job in the US. So that's like my present, right? Then I go into the past section. Oh, I have a really unique background. I'm originally from Dubai. I moved to Australia when I was 15. I studied civil engineering and business management. I landed my dream job out of university at a civil construction company, which was really the springboard for me to build some pretty cool shit. I developed so many skills, one of which is resiliency, which I'm really proud of. It was the fast-paced nature of the industry and the toughness of the industry that taught me to be resilient. And then, look to the future. What do you want out of the role that you're currently seeking? I am extremely hardworking and resourceful, and I'm really looking for a role that has social impact. Something like that.
Wow.
I like that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Really putting me on the spot, guys.
Sorry.
I'm like, wow, you thrive on the spot. Like, that's like a fact. I just realized.
But I like that it is so much about, talking about yourself, because a lot of the times when people give advice, they're like, oh, you got to know what they're looking for and kind of find out about them, and then kind of like sell yourself to that little specific niche.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an aspect to like tailoring and customizing and things like that. But at the end of the day, you're just highlighting exactly as you said. You're just highlighting things that you're good at, achievements. It's really important to be like, this is what I'm proud of. These are the achievements I've had, or that I'm proud to say that I've achieved. And then it's just your personality coming through. You can practice it all you want, but it gets easier because it becomes more authentic and genuine. And at the end of the day, personality is the number one thing. Like sitting there and reading off a script or something like that is just, anyone can do that. Again, it's hard though.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. But even in your description that you sent of yourself, and it's very cute that you bring your personality, and you're like, I'm into glam, I'm a shopaholic, I'm all these things.
Yeah.
What are your hobbies, essentially?
I love
if
that.
we get to know you,
Yeah, of course.
What a great segue. Hobbies. This is not a tough one, but it's hard to like pinpoint hobbies. I feel like my business at the moment is my hobby. I think aside from the shopping and the gym and all of that I do more for like my mental health, the retail therapy and then the physical therapy. I think, yeah, running business, I just always trying to keep busy. So in whatever form that comes at that point in time, right now it's working 24/7. So be it. Other times it could be something else.
Wow. So another question is, do you do date nights with your partner? So you sort of like have that time for him now that you're like working 24/7?
I know, it's really funny because before we moved here, I was literally working away for the whole week and we only had weekends together because I was doing FIFO. And now we literally spend 24/7 together and the same, we both work from home. And I'm like, oh my God. But no, I think we have just started to, try and get to know the city a bit more. And in doing that, I think inadvertently we'll call it date night, as like, we have now said, okay, if we're both working so much, we need to find time to just do something fun. Not necessarily, oh, we need some us time or whatever, but it's more, we just need some fun time. So we've just dedicated now our Saturdays to whatever we want to do, we'll go and do, and we get to explore the city. And we'll see how long that lasts.
That's so nice. It's important.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's important.
Oh, 100%. Like the other week we were working and it was Friday night. We were like, oh, we'll just keep working. And then I was like, oh, Austin's great. They have a lot of happy hours and their happy hours are like 5 to 10 p.m. and then like midnight to 2 a.m. They're wild. So we're like, oh, what if we just go and have a quick drink? It's just around the corner. We'll just go for a quick drink. And I think that's really important, to just take a step back. The work will be there. We'll find the next day to be busy. But yeah, it is important just to take a quick break, quick breath.
Because just going back to your relationship, and there's so many different iterations of yourself and your partner that you've been through, and you talked about shared values. I guess, what are like top 3 maybe shared values that keep you together through all these different changes of each other?
I've never actually thought about like how to define our values, but I'll talk a little bit about, I guess, work is really important for us. We're both extremely career oriented, and so I think that's a shared passion or shared love, in the sense that we both are really aspirational in that sense. And so we're both really supportive of each other's work and doing whatever it takes to get there. It was really interesting. I read this thing from Brene Brown recently where she said she and her partner do this thing, which is like they come home, and so at the end of the day, you are 100% is like your cup's full, right? And so she'll come home and be like, okay, I'm at a 20. And so between them, they have to find that 80. And I found that really interesting. And I was like, that's so nice. And I was like, I don't think we've ever like verbally done that, but I think we intuitively do that. And I think that's really important, is constantly balancing each other out, which is if you're having a bad day, I'm like, okay, I'll do the heavy lifting today. Or, if the shoe's on the other foot, it's, I think that's one, or two. I don't know how many I just said, but no, I'm like, oh God. Shared values. I don't know. I think happiness is one, and in whatever form that comes is really important to us. It's like whatever makes you happy. Again, I think it just comes down to support. We just support each other for whatever. And yeah, we, like I said before, we've been together so long, and we've both changed drastically over over a decade that we've been together. And I think it's just really nice. I think we've got to learn so much about each other and find different versions of ourselves. That has just been so fun.
Thank you so much, Rhianna.
Thank you for having me. This has been so much fun.
Thank you.
I'll admit I was a little nervous coming into this because I've never really been on this side of the mic. But this has been so good. This has been so much fun. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And it's lovely to have you and to hear about your journey and about yourself. And
it's been valuable.
keep killing it, because it seems like you're doing
Yeah,
like
keen to see what you
amazing-
get up to.
Amazing work.
Well, good luck with everything. The podcast is great. You know, if you need anything, reach out.